And are we on? What's up, everybody? It's Slaan here. We're back for another city building session. Today, though, we're going to go over the new World Editor Prefab pack, which was released yesterday at the time of recording. So you can go and download that now. The links are in the description on the official forums. That also came with a new world as well, which you can add to your folder, which is what you'll see here, the Project Slaanhatten. And basically this stream, I'm going to fire this up. We'll have a little look at what we're going to do with the city building series moving forward. Have a look at the layout that I've gone with, the reasons why I've done a few of the changes. But essentially it's going to be a stripped down version of what is currently the project map. And what I'm going to do essentially at the minute is just focus on the centre island, get the initial city hub built, and then maybe once that's starting to look a bit more fleshed out further down the line, we'll start bringing the rest of the map into alignment. And the reason I stuck with the project map is, although it's quite rough, there's a lot of good ideas in there. I love the canyon system, I love the idea of the quarry that I've started, and there's a whole bunch of other things all over the place really that I would like to keep. Are we in God mode? So yeah, I decided rather than go through a fanny yarn of making a whole new map, we'll just keep the best parts of what we've got now. So the highway system all works now. That's one of the main features of this new set of prefabs. We've had to make a few changes, but if we nip over, there we go, we'll just let the prefabs load in. And we'll see now we don't get that horrible effect of the terrain being sucked up. No, there's been a few changes. A lot of the pipes have gone and have been replaced with this trussing, and I've done that for. There was a few weird little glitches with some of the pipes because these prefabs have essentially been built from prefabs that have been getting converted since Alpha 12. So at some point an overhaul of the system is kind of due, but for now we've settled with replacing the asphalt with some blocks, getting rid of the pipes and the stupid textures, and that's kind of sorted the system out. So it works basically as it always has done. All the sleepers and stuff are on there. They seem to be rather bare. I don't know if it shows you all the decorations in the editor. You might have to check some of these out. Well, the point at this bit means I can still focus on the city, and we've still got a fully functional highway system that can just be worked on and touched up. Now, you'll notice over here, if we come into the main section, so I've deleted everything out of this area and rebuilt the streets with the first sort of layout. So this is kind of working on the concept of the new city blocks, where we would have potentially individual city blocks in each of these squares. These areas here, we've got, well, is that a 2x2 space? There's a 2x2 space there with also the extra room for a cross section. But most of the streets that are in at the minute have sewers. Not all of them do, but most of them do. And the reason some areas haven't been streeted out with prefabs is I want a more planned route with the sewer system. So this is just going to help us get a basic idea of where the streets are going to be, so I can tell myself, you know, this is going to be a park with the hospital and the church, and these are going to be commercial and high rise or whatever it is, and then I can start planning a set piece sewer system using all the bits around all of that, because there's a lot of interesting things to consider on this map. And one of the reasons I wanted to keep it is I really like this island sort of shape. I like the two-tier sort of aspect we've got, and furthermore, it's just a bit hard to see now, it's all wasteland. Probably at some point I'm going to make a set out of this style of dock area, so that we could maybe around the entire coastline on this busy city area have something like this. Now, it doesn't all have to be like cargo storage and cranes. It could be all sorts of things, warehouses and, I don't know, shipbuilding, lots of warehouses and even more warehouses. But I think it would be a good way to use a lot of space up that would kind of blend in with the city sort of theme. I mean, we're starting to get into like Grand Theft Auto territory now with like these dock areas and the prefabs that we've got going already. But the bridges also, I've replaced the asphalt on those, so we can once again swim under the bridges. There's a few weird things going on where the water, and this is due to the map itself, I need to add an extra bit of water in to cover this area. But the main thing is they still collapse. But they're working essentially now. I kind of realised where I was going wrong, because there's some funky things happens with the Splat 3 now that weren't going on the last time I was editing it. I've had to carry on trying to copy bits. So like this grid area here, this came from a nitrogen map, because I was toying with the idea that nitrogen might be a good way to get the base grid layout done and then build around this. But nitrogen's grid is slightly smaller than what I'm building to, so it was good to still have in to plan things around and have a rough idea, but ultimately I've been deleting it as I go. So the other major thing to look at really with the map is biomes, and Captain Crunch has got a really cool tutorial which is also in the description. I watched that, it's about 20 minutes long. And on my first try, got all of the main city area is now wasteland. If I come over here, I've started to mess around with snow cap in the mountains, and we've left the desert the way it is. But no, things are looking a lot nicer now. And like I say, I've had to use Cryder for that, but I watched his video and then gave it a try, and it was actually pretty easy. It worked straight away. Unlike the Splat 3, which took us about 3 hours to do. But essentially what you can start to see now is the base layout of the streets. And these are massively lacking in decoration, but we can't finalise the area until we know what prefabs are going down here as well. But just so that I could give myself a list to work from of things that I needed to do, I've started building all this out. So you'll see, like here, we don't have a lot of the junctions, because I need to make like a special T junction where it's going to be 19 meters on that side and 9 on both of these. But then I'm also going to need a cross-section sewer system, because I still want the sewers to continue under this. So there's about, actually, if I just check my list, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so there's 7 junctions that I need to do, which I'm going to make later on when we finish looking around and gradually start piecing this together. That basically link the roads up and link the sewers up. Now, I haven't joined any of these street areas with some of the sewer prefabs that I've shown you in the past streams. That'll come later, because like I say, they're going to largely depend how we want to build the system, because essentially at the minute this is going to be one long continuous. We might as well have a look at that actually, because it does look pretty good. But with Mad Mole talking about making Wasteland a higher difficulty tier zone, I definitely think from now on we're going to have biomes set where the city is always in Wasteland. But yeah, I'm really happy with this now that you can see like massive uninterrupted sections of it. And I think being in the Wasteland works to its favour in that the mist kind of keeps the nastier looking mesh files. You can just see in the distance the black wall that gradually disappears back, but yeah, we've still got a few wonky textures that do fucking weird stuff. Some of these pipes, I don't know why. So yeah, we've got essentially a lot of work to do. I still need to add the yellow tunnel sections to these streets, and then we've got to decide ultimately how we want to connect all of this up. So I've got a rough diagram in paint.net, but it's not very relevant now since I've built all of this out. But now it'll give you a better idea, and I think this kind of area here isn't biting off too much. It's a decent size to set the idea going away. We can incorporate all of the main systems, like the roads, the streets, the sewers, the highway potentially, dock areas. There's a lot of things that we can build on, because with this double tier here, you've got to think the sewers on that area up there are going to be around about this kind of level, so there's nothing stopping what having to find that street. So this is an example of where I've put a street down that doesn't have the sewer. But what we'll probably do is extend these tunnels out somehow and bring them all the way to the edge, and we'll have open tunnels that you can actually drive straight into. And I've still got to incorporate the open sewer into this system as well, so it's time to take a little bit of a pause from sort of fleshing out the sewers and the streets, which is what I've done over the past couple of days. In fact, most of the weekend, I think about 10, 15 hours easily put into reorganising this and designing things. But as a base layout, I'm quite happy to start with this. So it means when I want to start tackling things like, I don't know, the monorail system or putting stations or more permanent features in, we can kind of start making the decisions about where we want them to be and start doing that kind of stuff now. So like one of the prefabs that I showed you earlier on of the city block, where I had just made a hole that was designed to take skyscraper 03, we can start deciding where we want the vanilla prefabs or particular custom prefabs to go. And I like this map. It's handcrafted. It has space for a lot of things, and the starts for a lot of systems that I'd really like to flesh out and work on over time. The airport, that's just waiting to happen. I think we're going to dump a power station or something on this island. But for the most part, it means I can start laying down the sewer sections and things like that now. And then we'll kind of take it from there. But I think the main thing that's slowing us down at the minute is these connectors that are missing. So I think if we dive over into the editor, we'll have a quick skim through some of the prefabs that we've added. These have probably seen most of them, but there's a few interesting things to still show off there. And then I'm going to make quickly a handful of these sections, and we'll get these, probably this side done first. And we'll get this part, or the layout at least, all finished off. Because we've got a lot, this outside edge of the road is all building space that can take buildings, and we can make something reasonably dense without making it like lag-inducingly dense. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Like I say, because we've got everything measured out now, we can, just from looking at this, calculate the distance from there to there and be exact, because we know the sizes of all this stuff. It means chopping and changing is a hell of a lot easier than what it was with the previous layout that you've got on the normal project map. And while the project map has a lot of stuff in it, and it is quite nice, it was designed just to be eye candy more than anything to show an idea of, whereas this map, now going forward, is going to be the actual practical, let's make something we can play on. We'll start addressing issues like the collapsing bridges and stuff like that, and we'll look at sexy ways that we can maybe get around that. I'm still toying the idea with a custom block, like a cheat block, where I could make a prefab of a pillar of, let's just say, super reinforced A. So once you've made your map and you put your bridge down, you can come in the world editor and just put a couple of invisible supports that'll stop things like the bridges from falling down, but otherwise not interfere with the world. I mean, naturally, we don't want people building with that sort of shit. But I think for bridges and things that, should be structurally stable, but just because of the way the game is mechanically don't work. I don't like the idea of having to put supports like every 9 or every 14 blocks or however many it is. It's not always practical. And I got quite lucky with the whole layout of my big bridge. Design wise, it worked out almost perfectly with like the zigzags and all that lining up, so they can fuck off. I'm keeping my bridge. We'll cheat to keep it supported if we've got it. So yeah. So we've set ourselves a bit of work to do, but like I say, the key at this point has been the preparation, and we are quite prepared, as you can see. I mean, essentially, you just need to drop prefabs in. If you didn't want to wait for me to build a map, you could just, everything that I'm about to use, apart from the things that I'll make from now on, is available in the download. Right, so let's nip over to the editor. Now I've got a little list on my other screen here of the things that I need to make. Because I have been watching a couple of people there who do seem to be building on the stream on Twitch. So I do like to try and include a bit of building myself, because while I might not make the best looking or the most practical prefabs, I think I've got the editor technique nailed to a much higher standard than what people generally seem to use. So like the copy paste, the things like that. It's depressing to watch people flatten land in a survival game to build a prefab on, to extract it out, and the editor just is designed for this, you know. Right. So first on the list, let's check the new prefabs. So the main things that changed were highway bridges. So all these bridge pieces here that had asphalt in them have now all been replaced with the blocks. I think this was probably the last thing that I've done. This is a very early test section of bridge, so I didn't do that one, but if I load one of these up, I've done it on everything. So very simple, but it stops the fucking stupid bullshit with the terrain getting sucked up. And I think I might know why that happens, but I need to experiment more, so I'd rather not just say things that might not be true. The other main one was the highway prefabs. So all of these, again, have had the same treatment. Sleeper volumes, everything are all intact. It's just asphalt is being replaced, and the highways actually lost the piping on the bottom. And I know that's not necessarily the best looking texture. I should have maybe painted them. I maybe still will just mass replace all of the blocks with a painted version. But there's a lot of prefabs in this set, so I was more focused on just getting the set working, and then we'll go back and we'll fine tune. Ass fucked. My horse did feel fucked when for fucking 3 weeks after loading this up, I couldn't fathom why the terrain was getting sucked up to the road level on these. It totally broke everything. But that's the whole point. These are now all nice and fixed. I'm not too sure if I like the block over the asphalt, but it works okay with the mesh file, so we can live with that shit. Military prefabs, there's nothing new there from me. Finished streets might be a couple of extra junctions in there, but this is generally what I'm building the Slaanhatten layout with at the minute. So as again, there's probably a couple of random little pieces. Some other interesting things, actually, did I group them? No, you're going to see loads of weird stuff on my menus that are things that I've downloaded, and I will do a video at some point on all the stuff that I've downloaded, because there is some really cool things to grab a hold of. And where did I put them? Is it me random? Vehicles. So the Fun Pimps have got a prefab, which I'll dig out in a second. But it actually has it's a junkyard. Now, I've added the wheels on myself just to see how would you do it, and they would be hidden under the chairs, but it still looks a little bit off. But when I first seen it, I was like, that is a really cool design. And then I failed miserably at trying to give it a front, but no, I like the idea that they're messing around with things like this, because it means we can just steal them. So for the record, I didn't build this. It was just copy and pasted out of... If we go to... Is it John? I'm sure the junkyard. Yeah, so there it is. And you'll notice as well, they've also got these freight containers on what looks like it would be train. And then they've got the static ones. And I think they actually look a bit better than the ones that I made. So I think to shake things up, but the thing you'll notice with these though is they're solid. But at least mine, there's a reason to break open. But no, I'm pretty sure we'll come in, we'll steal these, but this is probably going to be like an Alpha 20 prefab or something. I think I've already nicked this crane. And core crusher and all that there. So yeah. Lots of things that we could steal for like for the city dock area. Anyway. But as for the things that I need to make, I need a 19 meter to 9 meter T-junction. So if I make a new prefab, what does that do? Yeah, so I kind of want this. I want the cross section, but I want that to be pavement at the top. So we'll use this as the start. I don't know how I'm going to name these though, because it means I'm going to end up with multiple things that might even look the same from the thumbnail, but technically they're going to be different. So what will we save? X custom sewer. I'm just going to number them, and then we'll just have to try and remember. X sewer. Prefab properties, and then we want it in the sewer and in streets. Streets finished is kind of going to be the category that you can work in the world editor, where you know you've just got finished things, because the street and the sewer categories themselves, well, I think there's 284 prefabs in my prefab pack, so you can imagine on top of the other people's stuff that I have that contains all of their stuff that uses my categories as well. That's I've probably got in the region of, like, I don't know, 500 custom prefabs in my directory at the minute. But we're going to save that there, save that again, and that should Junction 05. So we're going to keep this nice and simple. And this is the reason I wanted to do the layout on the map first, because these things are going to take seconds to do. So we'll just replace that, and there we go, we're finished. Well, we're not. I'll just replace that with terrain fill. So yeah, that's that now done. And what I'll do is I'll screenshot it from this side, so even though we can see the T-junction, we've still got an indication that this is actually a cross-section of sewer. Let's just target something. Raise that up slightly. Update the thumbnail. Update the imposter. Save that shit on. Strip internal textures, and then get that saved. So I'm just going to cross this one off my list. Where's the fucking strike through? Okay, we'll just colour it instead. Red, you're done. 19 meter straight. 9 meter turn with no. Oh, right, I know what this one is. So basically for this next one, I need 19 meter sewer to 19 meter sewer with a single 9 meter turn that doesn't have a sewer section underneath. So this street's going to come off and there's nothing there. This street is just going to be normal street. Straight single, no sewer. Yeah, I think that's what I need. I'm just wondering, is this the best one to start with again, or? Yeah, I think it will be. So let's load in the prefab that we've just made. Save this as my next junction. So junk 6. Save you. Street finished. Junction 6. So now we need, and this is what annoys us. I see a lot of people when they're building by hand would just do all this by hand as well. It's like, no. I can totally accept that this selection box sort of system is an absolute fucking arse to get used to, but it saves time. How long would it take you to demolish and build that there and then press a button to paste it in and then Control and G, it's facing the right way except for the lights. Okay, so we had to place 2 blocks. You know, it's even quicker just to replace it rather than smash it with something. But basically, I need this to continue. This has to be solid. And these 2 sides both get blocked up. How wide is that? 3 blocks. And again, it's this type of stuff that people do by hand where you want to give them a shake. You know, entrance be gone. And I'm not even going to bother copy pasting that again. We're just going to paste it in the wrong way and then Control and G in a single click and it spins it around for you. And then there you go. Prefab number 2 is pretty much finished. Oh, I think actually with these, we'll keep that like that. We'll keep them twisted in. And we'll do a terrain for that. And then, I believe we're done. Now, let's fix that. I'm going to photograph this one from this side just so that we can see it's a T-junction, but there's no actual connector there. Oh shit, moved it. Properties. Yeah, they all cloud. I'm going to strip the internal textures because especially when you copy paste and you're going to paste things that are being painted and they're just going to be inside of a wall where you're never going to see them. But apparently they still get loaded up and eat a little bit of the texture memory resource. So if you copy paste a block or you paint a block on all sides and build a big building with it, then potentially you could really be wasting a lot of resources depending on how big your build is. But no, I'm quite happy with Junction 06, so let's follow this one over. Now this next one's going to be a bit more interesting because I need 9 metre corner road with a 9 metre corner sewer. I mean 9 metre junctions are very, very fucking lazy. Don't forget, if you're watching live, smash that like button. Consider subscribing. We're building a big city here. If you want to keep up to date with the live streams, I don't have a set schedule, but I do tend to live stream everything, so you might want to flick the notifications as well. Right, but let's save this, and what do we start with for a 9-meter corner? Stop fucking spamming Turnbull. I don't think I've got anything that I can... Right, we're going to have to start with this one. Get you down. Then I think we're genuinely just going to have to do a wall here. Let's... mountain. Yeah. See, I put a lot of time into these prefabs. And I know this looks plain as fuck, but at the minute, I would rather get the pieces made out that I need to finish the layout and then come back. Because it might be that where we use these prefabs, there might be particular decorations we want to make in when some of the areas are a bit more permanent. So it might make more sense just to leave the tidying up until you're sure. Because we might come back later and copy this prefab into a new one and add all sorts of damage or a connector to something in particular. I'm not a big fan of just putting something down if there's a good chance of us not using it. I had a sewer system that sat for like a year, not getting touched. So let's just get some fucking thing in that people can use, and then we'll worry about the rest later. Now this one up top is going to be fairly simple. And we'll just make sure that this is matching, yeah. Fuck. And again, I think just to keep it looking a little bit better. There. Oh, that's going to look... No, I think we're going to have to keep them as crosses, otherwise that's going to do me head in that. Oh, and I've just thought that I'd do the imposter block on that other prefab I've just finished. Right. Let's... Can't fucking let me save this one yet. X. So, Junk 07. Let's give that a reload, and then where is it? Ah. Oh. It's just if you don't reload the prefab to recenter it, if you take the imposter from it off center, the imposter will remember where it was taken from, which can be a difficult thing to diagnose if you're not sure what you're looking for. And speaking of imposter, there's strip internal textures. Save that, and then we just need a nice little thumbnail for this one. Very dirty. Well, so let's cross that one off the list. 9 metre corner, 9 metre T-junction sewer. Fuck. I'm gonna have to load the map up and check out where I need that, because that could have a few different variants. If you think if there's a corner on top of a T-junction, there could be a few ways you could make that you couldn't fix just by rotating it. So let's save that. It's good to see Project Slaanhatten back on the world menu as well. It's nice to actually feel like you've got enough pieces to start going forward with a custom city again. I think once we get the foundations of the sewer system moved over, that's when you'll see things start to come together. The buildings are just going to basically finish the city off, I think. We'll have plenty going on long before we're to fill it out. Right, now I know for a fact it's going to be one of these little bits here. And I think it's this. Possibly this. Does this? No, they don't have sewers. They should have sewers though. So my point is both of these junctions would require a T-junction of sewer and corner, but they'd require a prefab made with the unique corner on, because you couldn't rotate it around any way that it would work for both. And I think I'm going to get that a lot with the 19 metre junctions as well. Ah, I'll bet you this was the bad boy here. Yes. Right, okay. Ah, no, that's a T-junction. I'm certain I don't think it was these two actually. I think because my road sections are too long, I was going to do sewer tunnels without roads. Right, I tell you what, we'll make two because it'll be dead easy to do, and we'll do a T-junction with the east and south and then an east and north. Right. Right. Let's get back into the editor. New prefab. And this is going to be what? Junction 8. Yes. So how about we have junction... Loaded it up instead of loading it in. Let's place you down. doing that fucking stupid glitchy thing. Yeah, I want to make sure we don't save any of that bullshit. Right, let's get this saved as a new prefab. And then properties. Right, so that's reloaded, resent that. So we want T junctions with northeast and south, so we need to wall this bit off. Is that the right block? And then we want an east-south and an east-north road. So yeah, that's going to be the bottom one. Let's save you. Now we're getting to the point where you're probably going to have to load the streets up beforehand just to get familiar with which ones you're going to use. Ah, yeah. Oh, too much. Just getting rid of that asphalt. Otherwise, the splat for processed file will draw all of those little fucking red bits on the map, even though they're hiding underneath pavement, which is annoying. Right. So then, let's get this thumbnail. Strip internal textures. Let's get that saved. Junction 8. Yeah, that looks good. Update you. Now junction 9 is going to be really simple because we want that one. And we're literally just going to fucking flip the top over. And oh, look at that. To be honest, I should probably be mixing some of these pavements up with some damaged stuff to go with some of the streets. But we can't make all of it as perfect as we'd like to be and then expect to make any decent progress. So with that selected, Control G, and we're just going to click that once. And naturally all of the fucking lights break, but it's a small price to pay for literally having to do nothing else. So let's actually make a save. Custom server junk 9. Properties. And same thing again, let's reload it, take the thumbnail, and then update the imposter. So that's 2 of them done. 9-meter junction, 9-meter corner sewer. Again, that's going to be, so that's a cross section of road with a corner junction sewer. That's going to be like this one, where I'm going to have to work out where it's actually going to go. But to be honest, we've got enough pieces now, I think, anyway, to go and plug some of those gaps in the map itself. Because in all honesty, the sooner that we've got the base street layout done, and the sooner that we've got the little offshoots of sewer, so like the bits of the sewer that I was showing earlier on that might expose themselves to the ground level on the docks without being a bit of a lower part of the city. I'd like to get at least basic versions of that in so I can at least see where the tunnels are going to stick out and how we might want to put them in. So now we'll get to see how good the thumbnails are. Because did we just make 6, 7, 8? We did. No, I know where you go. Because I don't think this has sewer. Now usually the junctions go 1 block lower than these because they've got an extra layer for some of the sleepers that are there. So if I place that, it should fit perfectly. And it does. Cool. Let's get back over here, get these 2 in. And again, the prefabs, just like in the editor, spawn from the north and east. So like this is the bottom left hand corner of the space. So even if I've got to rotate and stuff, we shouldn't clip anything here. That's the corner. That's corner T-junction. Yeah, that's the one that we want. Just place that in. So there, so the corner lines up. And we're into the sewer. We're into the sewer. Now this is just going to be a dead end, but like I say, this is going to be one of those tunnels that'll, this will be like an extra way to get in. And we'll have like, I don't know, some kind of big storm drain, or what do they call them, a gantry or something. They've actually got a prefab that resembles what I would like to build there. But essentially it's going to be a big open tunnel and another way to get in and out. But that's looking good there. We'll get the other one down. That's going to be off slightly. Let's get them saved in. That's the corner, so what do we do there? Ah, now I know where that goes as well. because I think I'm going to do the park with the big cathedral area, maybe the hospital, a few other things. That's a massive space, but I want the sewer to continue underneath, but not the roads, which is what this particular junction was for. And we'll stick one of these on the other side. So that lines up nice. That doesn't line up. Ah, okay. Now either this street is overlapping or I'm going to have to add a layer. Right, okay. Interesting. And that's simply because I've got the 4 white paving slabs on the wider road. But where it's placed now is correct for where it would need to be if it was the right size. So we'll place the other one of them on the opposite side and then we'll fix it and then we'll come back in and make sure that the line. And it needs flipped around twice, so I'm just going to rotate that straight away. You placed in. So why the hell do you work on this side but not 9-meter roads? In 4 meters. I think I put a wonky placement on this side. Yeah, it's the fucking streets are out. All of the streets are out. God damn it. I should have fucking known. My calculations are fucking perfect. Right, this is going to take, it just pisses off if I don't fix it now. So we're just going to get this out of the way. So just remember when you're moving prefabs in the world edit, you've actually got to click that place prefab button to shift it and save via the menu here to save the changes of the new location. Rotations can be a bit weird, but if you don't place the prefab, then nothing actually moves. But yeah, we really don't want anything out of place here. And again, it's a bonus having a system that is measured out, because you can see things like that. You instantly spot that a whole section of your map is out of alignment. And then you fix it before you build other stuff that's designed to work with it. But I'm fairly happy with the layout. It's just going to be a case of dividing it all up. And we've still got plenty of space for like the subway if we want to put that in, and we'll have to incorporate the monorail somehow. should just be these 3 left now, I believe. It'll be a bit of an arse on there, I imagine, for some people, because constantly moving and reloading, especially big prefabs as well, can get a bit glitchy and lag the editor out a bit. But all I would say is if you get the little spinny wheel and it's not responding, just bear with it. Give it a bit of time to catch up, because it usually does. It's very rare that I get an actual crash desktop. You're good, but you're not. And there we go. That's one little mistake corrected. So I really need a Junction corner sewer for this one. Unless I was to bring them... because we've cornered them roads off, but we've got open junctions for sewers. I think it might be a better idea to do that with these as well. But I want to keep that street there. We'll leave this one for now. Let's have a look what we've got. 9 meter corner, 9 meter corner. Yeah, we can... Oh, do I want a T? I think these might be better off with T junctions. T junctions to corners again. Interesting. And this one is going to need the same junction that we've just used. Oh no, it's not. This one's going to need a straight. Oh no, it is. Because I think this is where we're going to do the big concrete open sewer. So I do want a few points along this street where that can actually connect up as well. And then it just means without having to rely too much on making funky things on the city blocks themselves to get in and out, or just dotting the broken up streets, we're going to have a dozen points from around the city where you can just walk in through a tunnel. You know, it's just an extra means to get in there. And then naturally it's facing the wrong way. So that's X. X again. And let's save. And I'm just going to reload that world, and we'll have a quick fly around, just make sure the things that were valid now all line up properly. It's just with moving stuff around and rotating things, you might glitch the terrain out on the IP. That's shit. It's nice just to get it reloaded, and this is part of the beauty of working with the 2 different editors, is it doesn't take anywhere near as long to load the world editor up than what it does like a single player game. You've got your region files and the save game itself and all sorts of other shit going on that you don't even need if you're just building. Whereas like now, within the space of a minute, we can make a whole bunch of changes and then instantly see what they look like. So what you're going to have to visualize at the minute is, in some shape or form, for those of you who remember old Slaanhatten, we'll have the red wall, whatever it was, or whatever colour we use. And then it's going to be at least 1 city block wide, which is just over to 1 and a bit of these squares. I think these are about 90 meters. So it's going to come over here, and what I want is an open sewer connection, a big open sewer connection, and then another one. But this is going to be, the open sewer itself is going to be exposed to the coast. So we'll probably modify the terrain to get a channel that comes all the way down. And we'll have it slice this area of the city in half as well. And then that's kind of how we'll break it up. You know, we'll have some fancy stuff, hospitals and parks, and then a bit more sort of high-rise commercial and things like that, and then we'll thin out into like apartments and living areas, and then we thin down on this part of the central island into the actual district, like residential districts themselves that are out in the open, which when they eventually load in. So typically these little residential areas are just houses that all sort of fit a particular colour scheme or a theme. So it means by the time we get something usable in here, we've got a playable map, you know. So I would like to address the full map at some point, but for now I want the focus to be let's just finally, for once, for the first time in about 2 years, actually build a brand new proper big city. So we get back to here. So that means now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's probably just over a kilometre of unbroken sewer tunnel. With the exception of these corners. But they need to be made. Did we do it? T-junction, T-junction. 9 metre. Don't think we did. Not yet, anyway. And fuck the fucking naming scheme up already as well. Fucking hell. That's the cross section. No, they're both the corner T-junctions, right? We'll have to add them to the to-do list. They're going to be corner T-junction. I'm going to add them onto my map. 9 metre corner, 9 metre T-junction. Because the next step is just to get this initial road layout done. We'll decide what we're going to do with the gaps here. Because you'll see as well that most of the Splat 3 is gone. Now that it generates the Splat 4, which adds all the roads from the prefabs and stuff as well. Like you'll see the highway. There. It's got a little bit of asphalt that runs in, and that's what gets put onto the Splat 4. The Splat 4 shows all of these things as well, so it's reading what's on the prefab itself and showing it on the map. And because I've replaced the highway with blocks, it doesn't put the 2 highway roads on now. But I'm not sure if that's why it was sucking the terrain up. They've definitely changed the way the Splat 3s work, because it was a right horse just being able to view them. But I think for now, it's that one, T-junction. So what we've got going on over here? Aha. So we need a 9 metre cross section, 9 metre T-junction. Interesting. Right. Did we add anything? I'm not too sure. But let's dive back into the editor and we'll make a couple more of those. I've only got 3 more on my list actually. Can we really finish all those off? Right. So we want 9 metre junction on top, 9 metre corner sewer. It's a T-junction. 9 metre junction, 9 metre corner. So that's the corner sewer. Yeah, we'll roll with that one. And what's this? Junction 10. Would you get replaced? Don't forget, guys, for those of you who are watching live, if you've got any questions on what I'm doing, if I do any crazy wizardry and you're not following exactly what I've pressed, or feel free to drop the questions in the chat. For those of you who are watching back on YouTube at a later date, drop the questions in the comments. So that's pretty solid. We just basically need to get the cross section back. Actually, let's save it first. Junction 10. Save all that, and then let's reload it, because you'll see what I mean by reloading if you watch its position now. If you can imagine its coordinates on the grid within this area are about to change. Oh yeah, number 10. See, it's not there anymore. I didn't move. Just it when you save it, it puts the prefab back in the middle. Oh, and look at that, we didn't change the fucking asphalt. God damn it. Right, so we're just going to copy that, paste it in, and then Control and G to flip that around. Oh, we'll only need to make one of these as well, because this could be rotated to fit anything. But again, paste, Control and G, and then a single click in the direction you want to flip the row to, the decoration to. Is that it? Have I damaged my prefab without realising it? Right, hold on. So there's our 9 metre junction, 9 metre corner, and then we need 9 metre junction, T-junction sewer. So that's literally going to be a bit of copy pasting. So we'll save you, update the thumbnail, strip internal textures. And then let's get to the next one. So 9 metre junction on top, T-junction sewer. So we'll load with T-junction sewer piece in, which is that one. In fact, we won't. We'll load a cross-section piece in first. Motherfucker. In fact, this we'll do it backwards. Do it backwards. Get rid of the bounds. So this is indeed a T section. So I'm just going to copy that. Then show the bounds. Delete you. Then we'll load cross section in. So we want the cross section on top, but we want a T-junction, not a corner below. And where's northeast? Repeat this way. Do that, press Control and V, and then Control and V again. Cross section T-junction with a fucking hole in the top. So let's update the thumbnail, update the imposter, straight the texture. That is save. So that was the T-junction. So now we need two versions. 9 meter corner, 9 meter T-junction. Did we not just make those? Right, I think what I want to do is save this. I want to quickly nip to the loo, chaps. I will be back in 5 minutes. We'll dive back into the world editor. We'll place these new pieces in and we'll just see exactly which sections we're missing. Because I'd like to try and get that layout done so that I can continue the city building series with a new sort of system to bring into the project. I'm kind of leaning towards the open sewer as well. Saying that we've got the foundation of the sewer system done, or in the process of being done now, it would be nice to kind of add in something new, but that also interacts with the sewer system, because it's just going to make the whole thing look even better at the end of the line. So yeah, if you give me 5 minutes to go and make a fresh brew, and then I shall be back very, very soon. I'll just pop a message in chat as well. I'm back, guys. Apologies for the delay. Right. Let's just make sure I've saved that. So we're just going to dive back into the world editor, into the project Slaanhatten map. And then we'll get those few junctions put in. And what am I looking for? 9 metre corner, 9 metre T-junction. Right, and so what did we just make? Corner with the T-junction. Cross section with the corner. Right, that's what this bit was, wasn't it? Ah, and a cross section with the T-junction. That's the one. I was just thinking there, did I even make that one? Let's get this on, put you in, and we should. Ah, then again. Well, I was just about to say we should just be able to put this in and forget about it, but we're going to have to check. And is it just me? Does that seem a bit... Oh, that's alright. So the road obviously lines up nice. But the T-junction doesn't. So that's going to have to be rotated twice, I believe. 1, 2. I think I may have only needed one rotation and I've done it too many times. Oh, fuck's sake. So it needs 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We'll definitely have to check that one to make sure it's rotated properly. So that sorts that junction out. What did we need here? T-junction. Ah, so this. No, that's interesting. I've actually got a sewer street down there, but no sewers. To actually join it to. I'll probably do some kind of half road here, but it means so that needs a T-junction on top. Don't think I've done this one, did I? Right, I'm just going to stick this one on my list because that's a T-junction. What's underneath? To a 9 metre corner. Now, interestingly enough here, because we are going to have quite a simple connection to be made there, even though we might not necessarily have a street running. So I think I'll drop the corner in with the T-junction underneath. Or maybe it's a corner with a cross section underneath to bring it out. Just want to have a quick look here because I don't think we've got much. I know we do, we've got a lot of space here. Because I'm thinking again, this is all on the same tier as what this stuff is, so in my eyes this is just docks, storage, so a few tunnel connections into the sewer from this side would probably be quite welcome as well. Right, so I want a 9 metre T-junction, 9 metre cross section under there. Corners got going on here. Ah, so that's another one of these. Let's see if we can do it without rotating it 15 times this time. Oh, hold on, that's a cross section, man, isn't it? Straight. Oh no, it's T-junction on this side. Right. Oh well, should make it nice and easy to see. Yeah. So let's save those ones in. So already, I mean, without doing any cross sections, like the little corner pieces and stuff like that, we've got the foundation set to have a massive sewer grid if you really wanted to dump all that kind of stuff under every single seated block. We've still got a bit of room to have connections coming off that will offshoot onto the dock tier, as like I was just talking about on this side, and that's the same down here. And we can carry that over probably with this one, a couple of connections here. But depending, if we have areas of the city that end up being quite dense on top, then I'll probably forgo putting the sewers underneath. We'll use the sewers quite heavily in, like, say, some of the example city blocks that I made where there's not a huge amount of stuff going on, so we don't have to worry so much about hiding a whole bunch of shite underneath the ground. But no, I'm starting to like the way the layout's coming together now. It'll be interesting having a fuck around, planning the open sewer. And of course, if there's particular things that you've liked from the older project that you want to see make a return, then comments are there for that, or post on the forum thread itself. Just thinking. Because next, we need to decide what the main busy strip's going to look like, I think. I might even get a couple of city blocks put down just to see what it's like. But there's basically a handful of these junctions still left to do, and then I think the rest of it in the short term is going to be making one or two more sewer sections that we've got to stretch between these different roads. I think now that I've got a more set out layout, I'll probably take a screenshot of this and then design, like, plan my sewer route so I know exactly what to lay away, because I can imagine this is going to get quite confusing trying to keep track. But yeah, there's potential for a lot of stuff to be lurking under there. But yeah, you can't really see very far with the wasteland fog. I like how you can just make out the mesh. Makes us wonder if it's actually a performance gain being in an area like this, when it, like, you know, fades out what you can actually see. But like I say, hopefully the main thing is you can still see the white markings on the road all the way up to the point where the fog starts to thin. So that's probably just out of my view distance for drawing the mesh files. I see we've got a few years watching here now. I mean, how about we take a little run? But we'll keep it simple. We'll try and just follow a straight line. Because these are... One thing to remember is I've got shadows disabled at the minute, but because without all the connectors, joining between the different layers of the sewer is going to be a bit difficult because we don't have ladders attached. So that you will find random sections that just do have a ladder going up. If they do something nice and special with water in 20, then I'll fill, at least in these lower tunnels, the bottom two layers with water. But then you hit points like this, you know, where it's... Can you imagine running from zombies? And we need to get some quests made in some of these prefabs as well. Because, I mean, on a PvP server, I suppose there's justifications for a system like this where people can hide and lurk around and try and travel around the city without being noticed, and you know, you've got all those sorts of aspects of the gameplay. But I think for PvE, as other than falling through a hole in the street somewhere or coming into the system to see what it is, you're getting lost. There's not a huge amount of reason to be down here. Let's see if we can actually get up somewhere. I'm pretty sure you can just jump. Because as it stands in the current version of the hub, there is no way in and out except for these streets, these 19-metre wide streets. Now I do have a couple of prefabs that we can use, but they're kind of dependent on the city blocks that are going to be put down first, so it might seem like it's just a never-ending pattern, because it kind of is, but when you think these larger sections of street, they're divided in the middle by these cross sections, but they will also have a yellow connector on either side as well. So they're all going to work into one big sort of maze. So when we couple that with all the open access pipes and things like that, it'll be over quite a big area, but there will be a lot of ways to get in and out of the system. And there's a lot of cool little things we can build with that as well. And what the hell is that? Ah, I think I did have the military base demoed over this area. Yeah, it's just the map correcting itself. And I think I'll probably make a bunch of half streets that just taper off, so that there's no... Because it's going to be quite hard to keep these pavements up running along curved roads, but when you look at the layout of the map, by the time you consider we'll have we'll make a street on either side with the prefabs. This outside road isn't really going to need many buildings. We'll probably stick some advertisement boards and a bit of ruins and little bits of decoration. But I think the streets that we've laid down here now are going to be essentially the main sort of streets through this part of the city. And then depending on how it goes over this end, what we can sort of squeeze in, what we learn from trying things that just don't work, will decide how we do this half. And essentially, I think this is what we'll probably call Slaanhatten, is just this entire middle island. And then eventually we'll incorporate other things, because there's some good prefabs like Lasman's Walking Dead Prison and the old IKEA shop that the Not a Gamer Gaming people doing. There is a bunch of nice prefabs out there. Compo Pack. I know Stallion's Den has got he's got an insane amount of prefabs in his pack. But yeah, getting the buildings in themselves isn't going to be too hard. It's just I worry more about putting buildings in now and wasting the space, whereas when we come to tackle things like the open sewer, we might want a little bit of space on these city blocks to incorporate ideas off for whatever reason. It might turn out that a particular prefab would be better suited here, and I don't want to chop and change later. I'd rather sort of, if we're going to finalise an area, then let's finalise an area and build it to not be changed much, just tweaked. So once we commit like districts and city blocks down, they'll probably stay permanent from that point. Because things like the bridge and the highway they still need a little bit of love, but they're functional for now. They're back to looking pretty, which is the main thing. But yeah, I think the subways would probably be a system in its own. The dock areas will probably be tackled, and then the open sewer is probably going to be a separate system. So there's, just for things that I'd like to do, 3 fairly biggish sets of prefabs that can be made. There's already lots of things to do for the docks and the cargo area. There's loads of prefabs already that we can pinch things from, so I'm not too fussed about that. But the open sewer is going to be a part of the map and require a bit of work on the height map to make it look right anyway. So because we're making quite permanent changes to the landscape, it kind of makes sense in my head to maybe tackle that next. But I'm sure you are getting a bit bored of just constantly building streets and sewers and placing them in the map. I think that's pretty much all I've done for 20 hours now. So it would be nice to have something new to move on and, still watch a bit of boring building and stuff, but at least tackling a new idea, working with some new prefabs and things like that. But more importantly, just showing how I'm sort of expanding on the systems that we've already set in place now, because I still stand by, it's very, very easy for you to just use what I've made as a starting point and make your own versions of. Because I would definitely like to see some sort of community contributions. I pinch a lot of other people's work, so feel free to use mine as a starting point. But I'm quite liking the shape it's taken up in my head. I like the things that we've got here with the main highway on the map cutting in, the big massive racetrack area. This is looking okay as well. I mean, not finished by a long shot, but this was a take on like a Formula 1 style arena, or what do you call it in the States, like your NASCAR and other sorts of things. But also something that we could actually use in game if you wanted to get, a group of people together. They support 8 players in multiplayer, so this is where 8 people could bring the vehicles. And further down the line, when vehicles have different quality parts, it could be that you could build a car that outperforms in some ways and fails in others compared to another player. So racing might end up actually being a thing, which would be quite interesting. But I think it's using up a big chunk of space. By the time you stick a fire station and a few other bits of decoration down, even silly things like these, with the areas just being marked off with things that kind of resemble decoration you would see. A lot of these props were made from Spider's racetrack in the combo pack. You know, it was just rather than trying to squeeze a racetrack into a 45 by 45 area, let's just think, well, what would a racetrack have other than a big racetrack? And let's just build, like, let's just make this entire area. So we've got space where like coaches could pull up and park, a nice big parking area. I would like to get it all fenced off, make it its own little thing. I love like the light towers, and I can't remember what, I think I pinched them out of the Pimps Stadium. It's definitely one of theirs. But again, I think in the distance, they kind of, you know, they create a little bit of an illusion. And there's a lot of little systems like this around the map where just when I get bored of the whole city thing, there's a lot of ideas to expand on, like the quarry. It would be nice to make a set of mineshaft prefabs, tunnel sections where we could build into the cliff across a few different tiers. Put some like ore veins and stuff like that inside the mountain, make some proper mineshafts over a big area. Instead of it just being like a little dungeon prefab, let's actually just make a big sort of huge multi-prefab. And then obviously we've got the military bases and so on up here. Then again, you see me lovely snow-capped mountains tapering off into the distance there. So some of the prefabs up here that the pimps have changed that I had used are kind of a little bit out of place. I've rotated them so they aren't overlapping, but the general layout of this area needs a little bit of work now that they've changed certain things. But essentially though, I mean, all the prefabs themselves work. It's just it's that military base that they've got there. This just seems to have grown. So yeah, there's a lot of things on this map that I like. There's a lot of ideas I think that work quite well. And there's a lot of effort that's actually quite usable. It might need a little bit of fixing here and there, but essentially I can save myself a lot of time. I mean, you can imagine how long it takes to terraform a map just to lay the highway down. Can you imagine how long it takes just to place? You know, there's only like 300 prefabs or something there. So yeah, I mean, essentially, I mean, this stream was mainly about the release of the new prefab pack, just let you know that they're all there. But yeah, feel free to take some copies, have a go making your own versions, and hit us up on the forums. Just reply back to the thread with some screenshots, get your stuff uploaded. And I'm quite happy to include a file in the project download that just credits people, you know. If you really want your name shouted out there for producing something awesome, I'm more than happy to take you a little bit of awesome and do that for you. But I think for now, I want to make some more of these junctions. So I've bored you enough with repetitive prefabbing, but I think we'll call it for now. And then we'll pick this up again later on in the week, hopefully ready to start a new idea, which I'm leaning heavily towards the open sewer system. So that's going to be messing around with some big, massive city block size prefabs, probably looking at some screenshots of some real world locations. Because I kind of know how I want to do it, but I don't want to just build it the same as what I had it. You know, I want to think a bit more with how it's going to line up with the sewer system, how we can make it reusable so that it doesn't just have to be in one location prefab or build. Because it would be nice, even if someone looked at my map and thought I didn't like that layout, but I love the streets and things like that, then the idea is you can still take all those streets to your map and build your city how you like it. But it would be nice to see some screenshots of people doing that and using the prefabs. But for now, I think thank you very much everybody who's watched. Please like and subscribe, and if you want to follow the streams live, consider the notifications. Like I say, I don't have a set schedule. I usually do an hour and a half to 2 hours at a time. 2 or 3 times a week at least, so hit that notification bell if you want to follow them live. And if you've got any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the comments or post on the Project Slaanhatten thread in the forum. Links are in the description for all that sort of stuff there. So until the next time, enjoy the new map, have a good mess around, enjoy the new prefabs, and tune in for some hopeful new stuff. That's what we're looking for. The city building series continuing with a new idea. So I'll catch you later. Get that off. Get your